A very warm welcome to all my sociology students of class 11. This will be your first sociology class. It is strange that our first sociology class will be a virtual one. We will not be in the familiar surrounding of the school, your classroom, the teacher's table, the students' desks. But once we are back to normal, once the lockdown has ended, once we get rid of the virus, we will meet again. These are unreal times, not normal, very abnormal circumstances. Normal, abnormal, who decides? Normal, abnormal, these are definitions given by society. So what is sociology? Sociology is the study of society. Sociology is the systematic study of human society. It is the attempt to study as scientifically as possible all the known forms of human association, their nature, functions, interconnections, and patterns of change in various types of society. So what is society? Society is a group of people with a common territory that is living within a particular geographical area, with common patterns of interaction and a common way of life, that which we call culture. When we talk of society, we say society is made up of pluralities and inequalities. In the contemporary world, we belong to more than one society. To foreigners, we are Indians. To our fellow Indians, we belong to particular linguistic communities, we belong to particular caste community, we belong to particular ethnic communities or particular religious communities. So we belong to multiple societies at the same time. So there is a simultaneous existence of multiple societies. Satyajit Ray had once said, while he was asked on what he wanted to focus in his films, he said, I do not know sometimes what should I focus upon. Should I focus on the village where the life is simple? Or should I focus on the epics, talking about our traditions, brothers killing each other? Or should I focus on the dazzling, bewildering, monstrous cities where there are contradictions in terms of sights, in terms of sounds, etc.? In the same way, society is also a plurality. There are so many societies, so many different kinds of societies that we can focus upon. You yourself are a part of multiple societies simultaneously. On the other hand, society is also characterized by inequalities. Some are rich, some are poor, some are educated, some are illiterate. Some have economic opportunities, educational opportunities, some have none of these. While you're sitting at the dinner table watching the news these days, you watch migrant workers sitting on the roads with plates, especially children sitting on the roads with plates asking for food. That's the time when you're eating your dinner. You probably might wonder, you have everything, they don't have anything. This is the inequality that is the most remarkable aspect of society. Remarkable, astonishing, tragic, unfortunate. As a student of sociology, we must understand the nature of the discipline. In order to understand the nature of sociology, we must look into the different features of sociology. First and foremost, sociology is a social science. Social science is devoted to the study of human societies and the relationships among individuals within those societies. In that respect, sociology is a social science as it concentrates its attention on man, his social behavior, social activities, and his social life. Next, sociology is an independent science, which means that it is not a branch of any other subject or any other discipline. It has its own set of concepts, it has its own methods, it has its own subject matter. It is not a part of history, not a part of political science, not a part of economics. Hence, it is an independent science. It is also a categorical science and not a normative science. A categorical science tells you what is, not what ought to be. A categorical science emphasizes on observations. It doesn't emphasize on judgments. It would never pass a judgment on what is right or what is wrong, what is moral or what is immoral. The task of a sociologist is to observe and narrate. Next, sociology is a pure science. In what respect is it a pure science? It is a pure science because its ultimate aim is acquisition of knowledge. It is not bothered whether the acquired knowledge would be put to use. Hence, it is a pure science. But sociology as a pure science can have an applied field. For example, social work. Social work is the applied field of sociology as a pure science. Sociology is also an abstract science, which means that sociology is not interested in concrete phenomenon. It is interested in abstract concepts. Let's give an example. Sociology is not interested in the revolt of 1857 or the French Revolution. Sociologists would be interested in the idea of revolution as an abstract concept. Sociology would never be interested in the First World War or the Second World War. It would never be interested in a particular phenomenon, but sociologists would be interested in the abstract concept of a war. Next, sociology is a generalizing science. Sociology is a generalizing science because it tries to find out the general laws or principles of human interaction. It tries to find a pattern in human interactions. Hence, it tries to generalize its observations. It does not study each and every event that takes place in society. It is not possible to. It tries to make generalizations on the basis of the study of some selected events. In that respect, it is a generalizing science. Lastly, sociology is a rational science and an empirical science. Empiricism focuses on facts that have been collected on the basis of systematic observations. Now, after we collect the facts on the basis of observations, we try to relate these facts and formulate propositions and theories and concepts. When we do that, sociology becomes a rational science. I repeat here, sociology focuses on empiricism, hence it is an empirical science. Empiricism means focusing on facts that have been collected on the basis of systematic observations. After these facts have been collected, these facts are arranged, coordinated, and on the basis of these arranged and coordinated facts, theories are constructed. Hence, sociology is a rational science. Social sciences such as economics, history, political science, they all study human behavior. Of course, from different points of view. So how is sociology different from the other social sciences? It is different because sociology tries to look at patterns in society, patterns in human relationships, patterns in human interactions at all scales. That means sociology tries to understand the pattern of relationship between two individuals and also the pattern of relationship between two nations, between two or more nations. So in terms of scope, sociology is one of the broadest of all the social sciences. That makes it a distinctive social science. Sociology also gives us a sociological perspective. What is the sociological perspective? Sociological perspective is the ability to see the general in the particular and to see the strange in the familiar. What is general in the particular? Say, for example, consider a teenager in some part of the globe has committed suicide. It's a particular case of suicide. Of course, the teenager was driven by certain psychological reasons to commit the suicide. But are we just interested in that particular teenager committing suicide? Isn't suicide also a general phenomenon? That is the reason why we calculate suicide rates. So there is definitely teenagers, a significant number of teenagers across the globe committing suicide every year. So from that particular case of a teenager committing suicide, we move on to the general, thinking in terms of suicide rates. So in addition to psychological causes that trigger suicides, there are certain social causes also that causes teenagers to commit suicide across the globe. And you would be surprised to see that some of these causes are common for all these teenagers who have been driven to commit this particular act. The next is seeing the strange in the familiar. How do we see the strange in the familiar? Everything around us is familiar to us, but does this mean that we have to take everything for granted just because they are around us and we've been seeing them right from our birth? We are familiar with them? No, as a sociologist, as a student of sociology, we must ask questions. We must ask questions as to why the things are as they are. Hence, we are trying to look at the strange in the familiar. It is a very difficult thing to do, but during the course of our discipline, during the course of learning the subject and understanding the subject, we must develop the sociological perspective. Now, the first thing that you need to do in order to develop a sociological perspective is to think sociological, is to imagine sociologically. That is sociological imagination, a concept given by C. Wright Mills. So what is sociological imagination? Sociological imagination is a concept given by C. Wright Mills, which helps us to discern the relationship of large-scale social forces and the actions of individuals. Hence, we have written here on the slide that it enables us to grasp history and biography. History is part of society. Biography is integral to the individual. Hence, sociological imagination helps us to understand the relationship between the personal troubles of the individual and the public issues of the social structure. For example, when I look at myself in the mirror, I think about my obesity. But is obesity my problem only? Obesity is a problem of people across the world, both in the first world countries as well as the third world countries. So what have I done in my case? I have linked biography, the personal trouble of being an obese person, and I have related it to a global social problem of obesity, especially in the first world countries as a result of consuming junk food that is so popular these days in the form of McDonald's, in the form of Kentucky's Fried Chicken. So what have I done here? I have related the individual with that of the society. So as a student of sociology, we must be able to relate these two, the individual and society. When we do this, we are imagining sociologically. The other aspect of the sociological perspective was to look for the strange in the familiar. The familiar is the common sense. And when you're trying to look for the strange in the familiar, you're being sociological. So as a student of sociology, we must question our commonsensical understanding. What is commonsensical understanding? Commonsensical understanding is based on individualistic explanations or naturalistic explanations. Now, what are individualistic explanations and naturalistic explanations? Individualistic or naturalistic explanations always try to find deficiencies in the individual to explain a problem, whereas sociology believes in truth. Sociology tries to find deficiencies in the social structure to explain a social problem. It doesn't try to find deficiencies in the individual, which common sense does. But sociology tries to find out the deficiencies in the social structure. Hence, it is different from commonsensical understanding. Common sense tries to come to spectacular and dramatic conclusions. If you don't study, you're going to fail. If you do not study, your future is doomed. These are commonsensical conclusions. But sociology always tries to come to a conclusion only after sifting through enormous data. All right, going through data, going through observations. These observations have been made on the basis of specific research methods. So after having conducted thorough research on a particular topic, will a sociologist come to a conclusion? Sociology has its own body of concepts, its own body of methods, data. Common sense doesn't have that. Common sense is unreflective. That is, it never questions, it never asks any questions. Whereas sociology is continuously asking meaningful questions. Questions, by questioning, we are trying to know more. In fact, sometimes asking a question is as good as making a statement. We thus need to now understand the subject matter of sociology. What does sociology study? First and foremost, it studies the relationship between individual and society. And you can study the relationship between individual and society through sociological imagination. Second, it studies the primary units of social life. What are the primary units of social life? The primary units of social life can be individuals, it can be communities, it can be associations, it can be organizations, etc., etc. Third, sociology studies social institutions. Social institutions such as family, marriage, economic institutions, political institutions, educational institutions, religion as an institution. Next, it also studies fundamental social processes. Social processes are the patterns of social interaction. For example, cooperation, conflict, competition, accommodation, assimilation, etc. Sociology also emphasizes on research methods. Research is a very important aspect of sociology. Only through research can we come to a conclusion. And it is research or continuous research that is helping in the development of theories in sociology. Next, sociology is concerned with the task of formulating concepts, propositions, theories. What is a concept? A concept is a class of phenomena. When we put concepts together in a meaningful sentence, we create a proposition. When several propositions are put together, we create a theory. Finally, sociology today has created its specialized fields of inquiry. For example, there are numerous specializations today. For example, there is the sociology of knowledge, there is sociology of history, there's sociology of literature, there's sociology of culture, there's sociology of religion, there's sociology of family, etc. These are the various specialized fields of sociology. With this, I come to the end of the first part of our first chapter, Sociology and Society. We will continue with this chapter in our classes. Thank you for listening and stay safe.